Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Onyar Parks and Recs Commission meeting for November 14th, 2022. Welcome, Mr. Mayor. And now we'll start with roll call. Beth Ashbaugh. Here. Co-Chair Carolyn Marks.
Here.
Commissioner Brett Heindel.
Here.
Commissioner Libby Cudmore. Here. Commissioner Trevor Huntsman.
Here.
Councilmember Katie Lupari-Shute.
Hello.
Parks Administrator Lou Lansing.
Present.
Okay. Do you want to, let's do real quick review and approval of minutes and then let's go to petitioners. Anybody like to approve the, motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Hi Frank, how are you?
Well, Carolyn, good to see you circled all the way back to parks after all these years.
Right? That's true. Yeah.
All these years.
Yeah, many decades later.
So those of you who don't know me, I've been around the city of Oneonta since I was growing up. So I worked for the city of Oneonta as a firefighter. I worked in the parks department. I retired from the fire department, so I've been around a while. The YMCA has been doing the city rec program since 2014. That was when the city decided they were going to get out of the parks business. And they came to us and asked if we could help maybe keep some programs alive. So different variations of programs since 2014, but we've been doing the pool and we've been doing some kind of summer program for the children. But it has changed. We've been all day, we've been afternoon, we've been mornings. We do the swimming pool, Wilbur Pool. This year the attendance was 5,600 patrons. May seem like a big number, but pre-COVID we were seeing 10,000 patrons. So there's definitely been a little decline in the swimming. I can't really put my finger on the reason why. I do believe what we're seeing, Sue, right, is people don't hang out at the pool anymore. They come, they jump in, and they get out. It's no longer a place, like pre-COVID, people would go there and stay all day. It seems that just things changed. I've been told that during COVID, people put in pools, so maybe all that accounts for the lack of participation. I don't know. What I can tell you is the city of Oneonta has a beautiful pool. It's well maintained. The locker room improvements that were done a couple of years ago, they've made a huge difference. We lived through COVID. I mean, we were open both summers of that COVID. We figured out a way to make it happen. The biggest hurdle we've had is across the country there's a lifeguard shortage. So I'd actually like to say that we're fortunate. We never closed last year when many pools couldn't open or they had very limited services. We were open every day that we said we were going to be open. We never had to close because of a staffing issue. We employed 28 lifeguards and 8 swim instructors. I won't tell you that the lifeguarding staffing shortages or situation is going to go away. I think we're in a better place. We had a bunch of young guards this year that plan on coming back. So I think that next year it's probably not going to be such a headache of trying to see if we can get guards back. But you're fighting for them now, and 16-year-olds are coming up demanding $20 an hour to lifeguard because it's just what it is.
They also don't want to work a lot of hours.
Right, and so the second part of what the hurdle is, besides being a lifeguard shortage, is it's not, as much as I'm gonna tell you it's money, it's commitment. We just can't get people that want to work a night or a weekend or 4 hours in a row. So I think that's just a change in society, but we worked through it, and like I said, I was happy that we were able to keep the pool open. To the best of my knowledge, we had 0 real incidents or complaints, right, Lou?
Zero.
That I'm aware of.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that either,
Yeah.
so.
So again, I thank the city of Oneonta for, keeping the pool beautiful and, you know, like I said, it's nice, it's a nice facility. The only thing that we did have happen, but it didn't interrupt service, is someone did break in, broke the gate down and threw a crowbar in the middle of the pool, which could have been a lot worse. I'm glad they threw the crowbar in the pool and not decided to use it everywhere else. It was a big crowbar too, big. The second part of what we do is we do run some type of summer program for the youth. This year was a big change. I would tell you that it really wasn't what people wanted. But again, due to our staffing constraints and the things that we were seeing, we could not get people that wanted to work the summer program and be with the kids. We reached out pre-season, which we're going to do again in January or February, to 2 or 3 other youth type providers in Oneonta and asked if we could collaborate or if there was any other ideas, anybody want to get together, can we split it up? We were unsuccessful in finding any partners. That everybody was pretty much facing the same types of things, right? I know that I've had many conversations with the mayor about, you know, just this is it. I don't know how to get people to work. So at the YMCA, we have a little bit more high standards than some other people have to deal with because we work for the YMCA and it's a national organization and we have to follow all the guidelines. At the last minute this summer, July, I'm not exactly sure, the Boys and Girls Club did open, which is a big plus for this community. And I believe they're going to do something again. I'm not speaking for them, so I will be in conversation with them. If they do that also gives us opportunity to maybe change the way that we're looking at things. And we could probably better focus on an age group instead of a big open playground and do a better job. We do run a pre-K program that's non-city funded in the summer. And maybe if the Boys and Girls Club opened, we could concentrate on 5 to 7-year-olds and run a different type program. So we're leaving that all wide open. We did only do mornings this year, and like I said, that was strictly a decision based on available staffing to keep it safe. It wasn't popular, people wanted afternoons, they were used to afternoons, so, but I can't produce what I can't produce. And I'm not ever going to do it where we don't feel we meet the safety standards. That went pretty much uneventful. Again, to the best of my knowledge, the people that participated in the program were happy. I would like to say that the good news of what we did and what we try to do is we collaborate with Catholic Charities and we served 1,200 lunches in the 6 weeks so that no kid went without lunch. Sue and I go down and pick them up, pick up the 2 coolers every day and bring them on site, and pretty much the lunches go every day. So it was 1,200 lunches that were distributed in the 6 weeks. Basically, again, I'm just really here to say that the Y will always try to problem solve with the city. Again, I know that sometimes we're not popular because people want more. I will only come to you with what we can provide, and I think what we do provide is safe and functional. So, again, I work very closely with Lou. We try to, if we have any inkling of any kind of problem, we try to head it off quickly and efficiently, and we work together, and I always appreciated Lou's strong support and backing. I'll just read a quote. The YMCA Summer Rec Program is a convenient program for families during the busy summer season. My children enjoy the opportunity to be with friends in our local parks while having fun and staying safe. The Y Summer staff are enthusiastic and caring. The Y Summer program is a wonderful addition to our community. Bridget Daggy. So that was one of the mothers. So that's really what I have to say. We'll be back to the table. We hope to be for sure, you know, at Wilbur Pool. And if there's other ways that we can provide programs for the youth in different ways, we'll work with it or we'll collaborate with whoever we want. I do also have to say is I'm very, very impressed with the work that the Huntington Library does. So somehow, if I could figure out how we could collaborate with the library, because we're close, it would be good. But they really do some great stuff, and I'm impressed.
It's a good one.
So, unless you really have any questions, I'm not gonna bore you with all the data, and Lou has,
I'd like to say one thing about that. First of all, I want to thank the YMCA for the job they do. They work really well for the city. They run a top-notch pool facility for us. The problems that they have faced recently with staffing is across the board. Everybody knows it's hard to get people to work now. I had several organizations that did not have things in the park this summer. After COVID, they were shocked. We're past COVID, now we can't get people to work. So they couldn't have their events. So the fact that we had lifeguards and we were able to open the pool, the things I'm hearing across the board from other recreation agencies is pools are on the decline for a lot of reasons, but a lot of that is getting staff. Some of it is communities can't afford to keep nice pools. That's why we're so fortunate to have our pool here in Oneonta. And thank you both. You did a fabulous job. We so appreciate it.
We're so lucky to have you guys as partners.
and like I said, I am fully aware that people are unhappy because they want more. I want more. So, I mean, I think we all do. If there was a way to do it, I'd do it. And I always am hopeful that other partners will help, because the Y is only one of many agencies in Oneonta. If we can all figure out how to work together and get this solved, because the kids win. If the kids win, we win, right? I mean, that's what we want. But for whatever reason last year, nobody could get it together. They all had the same problem. I'm feeling like what we're seeing right now at the Y, though, like in our building, we actually have staff. So it's weird, and because we haven't had it in 2-3 years, we have staff, and we have some excellent college kids right now, and we haven't had that in 2-3 years either. So, well, obviously they weren't here for some point, and there was all kinds of rules, but the ones who have come to us and are working are great. And I wish there was a college representative that could hear that, because a lot of times they get a bad reputation. The people that we've hired are doing well, and we seem to be. There's always some kind of staffing shortage, but we are seeing more interest than we have. So maybe we're trending the right direction.
And Frank's right, Huntington Library does do a really nice job. Remember that they are in the parks during the summer. They were in the park 4 times, I believe, this past summer for different events in both Neowa and Wilbur. So they are picking up some of the slack in the afternoons with the children, and they do a fabulous job.
And if I could just put in a little plug here, the Huntington Library is hiring for a children's coordinator. So it's really important that we get that position filled so that next summer there is someone to provide that programming for.
Is someone here, is anybody involved with Huntington?
I work at the library.
Oh, you do? I mean, so make sure you put that out there and connect me with someone so that we can, again, I'm not trying to step on their toes, but if there's a way that we can bridge or work together, I'm all about it. And I just read the stuff, or I seen it on Facebook, and I was like, I go into Sue, I was like, wow, look at what they're doing. I'm impressed.
Yeah. I think Kano too. I don't know what your involvement has been with Kano.
We have bridged, they just got to us too late.
Okay,
Well,
gotcha.
yeah, we had talked to them, and then they said they weren't going to do anything.
Right, and then it just happened
So
after
we went
the
ahead with
fact.
our plan, and
Yeah.
then they announced that they were doing it, so
And
there
it
was
ended
some
up being in
overlap.
the morning also.
Right.
So it
Yep.
didn't even really, it just overlapped.
But we had bridged it before.
We have in the
cool.
past.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
But I think they probably came out of the gate with the same problems we did, and I think everybody threw it together at the end. I mean, Lou was calling me up every day, what are you doing, Frank? I'm like, Lou, I'm gonna know next week, I promise, I'm gonna get you an answer. And then next week I told her, I'll tell you next week, Lou, I promise.
You're not a loan shark.
Yeah, she was bullying me. No, we have a good
He was
relationship.
screening my calls.
I love working with Lou, and I never have to guess where I'm at, so we're good. In the same way, it goes both ways.
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I
Thank
mean,
you for so much.
without your programming, the city would be totally lost for what to do with our kids in the summer, so. Thank you.
But please, Katie, mention to whoever the right person is,
I will.
that we should probably have a discussion sooner or later. And again, it's not to compete, it's to see if we can do something better together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just never, I don't know why we've never really done that. You know, sometimes you just
Well,
forget the
they
obvious.
do come, I mean, not now, because you
They
don't
read
have,
our
they don't have
pre-K.
a children's program
Right.
coordinator, but they do come to our preschool. They were coming every
Yeah,
week
to
and
read.
reading.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
children's coordinator we had was really great, and I think that during her time there, she really ramped up children's
Yep.
programs, and that's probably why it started to sort of get into, you know, your context, because it was like, oh, yeah, you know, because she really ramped it up a lot, so. Yeah, getting someone good into that role, you don't need to have a Master of Library Science, would be great, and then, yeah, but I'll put you in touch with the director.
Is that a full-time job?
It is a full-time job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks so much. Bye, have a good night.
Get your book.
Yeah, oh geez, I almost forgot it again. I'm cracking me down with the book again. My secret notes.
Read that again out the window.
Throw it. Bye.
GPS tracker on it.
Have a good night, everybody.
That's right.
Very nice. Thank you. Okay. So, I guess next we're like, hello, Mr. Mayor, welcome again. Kind of rushed through the first one. So, yeah, Lou?
I'm not gonna go through all this correspondence. Anybody have any questions on any of the correspondence? I didn't give you copies of each one of them. I know you already received the letter from Jill, so I don't need to go over that. I just shared the correspondence I had from Will Lund. He's very happy that we got his grandfather's sign back up in Wilbur Park. So that was good. Betty Ann Evans shared her opinion on the basketball situation, and she wants shuffleboard as an alternative. And you do know that the basketball hoops have been put back up in Wilbur, just in time to prepare for winter and closing Wilbur Park. But anyway, I'll move on to park news. Just wanted to let you know that youth soccer program had their best year ever with 794 players. Picture that with 2 parents and grandparents and fans in the park, and you have an idea of how many thousands of people are in Neola Park on Saturdays. They just added Edmiston, so that's a real feather in the cap of Jen and the Oneonta Soccer Club. Just did Arcot Eagle just had their hot cocoa run, which was successful, I believe. I didn't get the numbers from Faith, but did you go?
Yeah,
Was it good?
it was good.
Yeah, good. Any idea on numbers? Could you guess?
I think what I heard was there was 400 people down there.
Okay, all right, that's good on a Sunday in the fall, and the weather was very helpful, so. That's our last event for the season, other than the Festival of Lights. I shouldn't say other than Yaku's Festival of Lights. Setup is gonna start this weekend, as a matter of fact, for that event. Carol Mandigo is spearheading that, no surprise there. The event runs December 18th through January 1st. We're thrilled to have them back in the park. It's gonna be exciting, it always is.
Is there gonna be a kickoff event for that? I know there's usually 1 or 2 nights where they have performers and hot cocoa.
I don't know any of the specifics of it. Carol will let me know, but I don't know yet. Maybe in December I'll be able to tell you,
Okay,
Libby. I don't know for sure, though.
thank you.
Obviously, we're picking up the park. The fountain has been removed. That's always a sign that winter's coming. Unfortunately, Hodges Pond project has been put on hold. This is nothing that the city's done. It's, unfortunately, the DEC and the Army Corps of Engineers, I don't know what they're doing with our paperwork. I think they're putting it back and forth between their offices. Every time I call the DEC, we have submitted everything we're supposed to, and we submitted it last March. So I don't know if they're arm wrestling. I just don't know what's going on there. Every time I call them, they say we should get our paperwork any day now. I've heard that like 7 times so far. So that project's been put on hold. We're hoping that we might be able to do it this spring, but until we get paperwork or permit to move forward, we can't do anything. So that's unfortunate. Our dog park policy, Carrie just put it up today. It's the same as last year. Once we get 3 inches of snow, we will close the large dog park for the season, and we'll have all dogs in the small dog park. Again, the city will not remove snow from the stone dust path or from anywhere inside the, that worked out pretty well last year. Everybody was very receptive to it. The small dog park was in great shape this spring, a little loss of grass, but not bad at all. And that way we could do stuff to the small dog park while we opened the big dog park for all the dogs. It worked out well. So we're gonna go back with that again this year. I think people were receptive to it, so I think we'll be all right with that. Our city staff, we, again, just like with the Wilbur Park plan that we have, one of the biggest obstacles we have in the park is the condition of our restrooms and the numbers of our restrooms. Newa Park has events of 1,500 people, 3,000 people, 4th of July, 5,000, 10,000, whatever the magic number that they give you. The ratio for having restrooms to people is 50, for every 50 people you should have a restroom. We do not have that. Newa Park has 14 restrooms, permanent restrooms. 8 in Demoski, 2 in the large pavilion, 2 over by the pickleball courts, and 2 at Field 4. Now, no one that goes to a park event is going to walk all the way over to Field 4 to use a restroom. So Field 4 is kind of out there. I mean, it's all right in the summertime, but it's not going to be for our big using events around the caboose area. When we decided that we needed to institute some kind of restroom policy, especially for our big event users, to bring us more in line with what we're supposed to be doing with restrooms for our big events. We decided that we would institute a policy, but the policy would require our big users to rent restrooms at probably pretty good rates. A couple of the numbers that were thrown out is it would cost them $4,000 to get the restrooms they needed. That's a lot of money, especially for nonprofits that are doing these things, doing these events. So what we decided is it might work better. We're never going to be able to come to completely 1 for every 50 people. It's just not going to happen. So we looked at having 1 for every 250 people and trying to make that work as best we could. If we take our 14 permanent restrooms, the city could rent 10 portable units, 2 being ADA compliant, and help supplement. So we have 24 restrooms in the park. Now, the 4th of July event would have to rent more restrooms than that. That still would not be enough for them. And they're aware of that. We met last Thursday with all of our big users. We thought it was only fair that if we're going to institute a new policy that we give them some input on it and see what was possible. I think it was a successful meeting. Did you think so?
Yeah.
Katie was good enough to attend. We had Public Works there, we had Parks there, we had Gregory Tice, the city administrator there. We had code enforcement there, and we had the city clerk there. So we had pretty much everybody represented, and we had all the 8 big users, the 7 big returners, and 8 being Girls on the Run. They will be here next month to request use of the park. It's a big kudo that we're going to get them into the park. They were in the 6th ward. We've convinced Heather to come and use our new trail. She's excited about it, I think. I think it will be a great park event. It will be the first weekend in June. We will have the Pride Fest on Saturday, and we'll have the Girls on the Run on Sunday, of course, pending your approval. I don't think you're going to have a problem with it, but she's going to come and talk to you in December and get your approval so that we can move forward. Anyway, We've got to work out this money situation, because we need a cost recovery fee. The city cannot provide those restrooms, we don't have the budget for that. So we're asking each user to come up with a certain amount of money. We're gonna have to figure out how we can make it fair for all users. Because right now, the fee is pretty good size, pretty substantial.
Is that something you would want to, throw out to the group for discussion to kind of brainstorm some ideas on maybe ways to implement that?
I think we need to brainstorm and come up with something and before we present it here. I mean, I think we can, but you all don't know what they're gonna cost. You don't have all that
That's
information.
fair, yeah.
So, but when we decide, we have got to meet again and come up with something that's more equitable. You have users that rent the facility for 4 hours on one day, and then you have users that rent the whole season. So how do you make it fair?
Yeah.
So it's difficult.
Yeah, I think there needs to be, just from my experience at the meeting, and hearing everyone, you do have some users who are, they're bringing, when they rent, to your point, they spend $4,000 to $5,000 on restrooms because they're bringing in, X amount of people. So it seems like that, and then additionally, like the electricity usage, rather than being like a flat fee per user, I think what I heard the most was, like you said, it sort of should be based on usage. So if it's something where, they're gonna be in the park, like, can we take, because the idea, right, is for the city to rent these restrooms from, what was it, May to November, June to November?
June to November.
And so if we split that cost up, I know you had split it by user, can we split it up by, I don't know, is there a way to split it up by, like you were saying, you need one for every 50 people, so if someone
By size
says
of
they're,
group.
by size of the
We
group.
won't even get to 1 in every 50 people. It's gonna
Well,
be more
right.
like 1 in 250.
But if you can figure out, like the Catskill Choral Society for the Great and Glorious brought in 200 people, and I'm just throwing out a number, but 4th of July brings in 5,000 people,
Yes.
can you kind of charge them on like a ratio?
We definitely have to figure that out.
Yeah.
That's definitely a challenge we have.
Yeah,
And then trying to figure out that if we make it fair for all of them, how much of an expense are we gonna have for somebody like, a soccer club?
well, and that's the thing is like, can we then just implement it across all park users and not just the big park users? Can it be
That's-
a portion of the park rental
That's a
fee?
part, that's what I'm telling you, that's what we said at that meeting.
Okay,
We might also institute a small fee for all users during that time period.
I love a good.
For our
example.
smaller users. Right now, using the park is the best deal in town.
Totally.
All you have to do is pay the application fee besides having insurance, okay? That's a big deal too. But you can use the park all day long for $50, as long as you're not using a facility, if you just wanna have whatever. I think it is a good deal, but that's part of our plan. And
Yeah.
like I said, I really don't wanna take more time here with you all, because you don't know all the particulars. When we meet again and we develop something, I'll be sure to share it with all of you.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
but I think that that's a good idea. I think anybody that uses the park during that time period, certainly anybody that's using the park is gonna benefit having all those restrooms.
Right.
Certainly, women's softball playing there is going to have the benefit. Even though they don't bring in that many people,
Yeah.
they're gonna benefit. So I think that that's a consideration. Electricity is also part of this. We looked at the electricity bill from this year, took during that time period, added it all up, and came up with what the fee would be. Next year, the electricity will be more, I'm sure of it, because all of our outlets will be working at that time. So electricity will be more. So, anyway,
Are there grants we could look into for those restroom rentals? Or, acquiring them?
I don't know, Libby, we're looking at grants for everything.
Yeah.
So, and if we can't do it and say, well, maybe we'll come up with a grant because we're still gonna have to pay that bill.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think we have to look for a way to handle it for sure.
Yeah, but if that can even take off just a little slice,
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
divvy up that money somehow, but every little bit helps.
I'm sorry to take up so much time with that. The last thing on this list is, and I don't want to steal the mayor's thunder if he wants to talk about this, but the mayor and city staff members, myself, met with a group of young adults very interested in restoration to the Neowa skate park. I was very impressed with them. They really want to help. The skate park does need a lot of help, but they're willing to work on it, and so I was really impressed, and I just wanted you to know that we had met with them.
What was the name of that group?
They don't really have a name. They're Interested Skate Park Committee. I don't know that they have a name.
Okay.
Can I just ask for some more detail about the outcome of that? Just because we on council were discussing like potentially spending some ARPA funds. So is there any understanding of like the scope of what would need to be done, or like what were the next steps from the meeting? Would you mind sharing those details
Well,
if you have them?
I can tell you right now, I don't know what, I can tell you what it needs. It's got cracks in it that you
I
can
can
drive
show you
my
what it
car
needs.
through.
Okay.
You can,
You know, the surface needs to be completely redone.
Mhm.
I think what we need is a consultant that can look at it and evaluate what needs to be done. Somebody who knows skate parks, because I don't know them.
Was Mark Davies involved at all in that conversation?
He was not, but somebody who talked.
I was, and
Okay.
I can speak to it very quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, a group of folks that don't have a name yet, they will have a name and they will actually apply for an OCI grant,
Oh, cool.
as a heads up. But there's $5,000 that we have to play with. There's a couple of boxes, I'll call them boxes for lack of a better term, that they'll do some work to so that they might be able to be usable. There's an expectation that we'll do something with the cracks within the scope of that $5,000. It's a temporary patch. What we know from talking to actual skateboarders, I was actually involved in that construct 20 years ago, whatever it was, back to the job corps. We didn't know what we were building. And what we built is something that's much more difficult than a beginner or medium skilled skateboarder might want to have. So there is a potential of the bump track that we've been discussing for a while, of that becoming a paved construct, and that would wind up providing an intermediary sort of an opportunity for the skateboarders, as we then look to a consultant and try to figure out a grander strategy that we might be able to, budget for sometime down the road.
Okay, because I know, so Mark Davies used to work in the industry, and he said that he had some contacts, and I think that he had been like corresponding with them and sending them pictures and things, and so he just might have an understanding of, to your point, in terms of like hiring a consultant, he might be sort of a leg up on that. So that's why I was wondering if
He was invited to that
involved.
meeting, but he's
Couldn't
awfully
make
busy.
Yeah, sure.
these days.
Okay, yeah, I just think it's, I know that you don't appreciate work in silos, and so I was sort of trying to connect the dots there. But that's good to know. Okay, thanks.
That's all I have. That's probably enough.
Thank you, Liz. It's awesome. Okay. Mr. Mayor, do you have anything?
Just very quickly, because I can see that you've got a relatively long agenda here. I'm looking at other sheets I expect you'll be going over, but just to say, first of all, thank you for the invitation. I think Lou has been looking for me to attend this in a bit, and she grabbed me and said, this would be a good one, and I'm glad to be here. This has actually been very informative thus far, but I'll just say that as I've been working these last 10 months and connecting with the leaders of our various anchor institutions and our large businesses and on, agencies that are hamstrung for the fact that they don't have a succession strategy because there just isn't anybody. Everyone has agreed that our bringing in people to this community, our recruitment and retention retention of who we have and recruitment of new people to this community is so important. And round the marketing strategy of that, it fully, revolves around our assets being our quality of life. Our quality of life, honestly, is in very good hands right here. Parks and Rec, our parks are jewels, our trails and everything that you guys seem to have fingerprints all over are among our best assets, and so thank you for all the work that you do here.
I don't know if you want to move on to the Wilbur Park plan
Yep.
that we have here.
Let's do it.
I do want to tell you that Greg sent me, probably a couple weeks ago, sent me plans that he found from the LA group. And the LA group is the group that came in and actually did the master plan for Neola Park.
Oh,
They did some,
they're semi-local, right? LA Group?
I don't even know them. I don't have any
They're from
idea.
Saratoga.
But anyway, they had started preliminary work and did some hand drawings of Wilbur Park, some of their thoughts, and he found these sheets that apparently were stored somewhere, and he came across them. And I will tell you that there's like 9 sheets with all these like little tiny drawings. I had to get a magnifying glass to read them, and I don't have trouble with my vision up close. But a couple of the things that they highlighted on there were areas of Wilbur Park that were underutilized, and areas of Wilbur Park that they thought really needed connecting by walking trails, the upper part of Wilbur Park with the lower part of Wilbur Park. They thought it was really important that there was a walking trail, an established walking trail along Oneonta Creek, because it's such a, and I got all excited because I was like, those are ideas that we have in here. So we aren't too far off the beaten path. I mean, they are consultants, so they know what they're looking for. So kudos to all of you for those things. So anyway.
I have a question about Wilbur Park, and it has to do with the lighting. Do you mind if I ask it?
No, I don't mind.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I was driving by last night. Obviously, it gets dark earlier, so I noticed the lighting. I noticed that the lower part is really dark at night, like really dark.
Mhm.
And I know that the park is closed, but I was like, maybe it's like scary dark. But then I got to the top, and I saw that the basketball court up there was lit up.
Mhm.
And so it just sort of set my brain thinking like, the facility is lit up almost like you could go over there and use it, even though the park is closed.
What time did you go by?
Well, it was after sunset, but, the park isn't closed until
Park
10,
closed
right?
at 10:30.
That's right,
Park
okay.
closed at
I kinda
10:30.
wanna talk about that too, but, so the facility's lit up, so do the lights go off at 10:30?
I don't know what time they go off. They're
Yeah.
probably on a timer.
Okay.
I don't know what time.
Yeah, it's just, I had never considered like the lighting in the park and how that impacts like usage before. So like if you are able to use for example, the basketball court, which is what I saw from Center Street as I was driving by, it's kind of a long, dark walk to like get there. So if it's open, then theoretically there should be some lights
Yeah.
that make it safe to get there between Center Street and the facility. And if it's closed, then it should be dark so that it's like not inviting at all. You know what I mean? So I just was this was like bouncing around in my brain yesterday, and I was like, well, Parks is tomorrow, I'm gonna ask about it. So here we are.
I have mixed feelings about the park being open till 10:30 myself.
That's late.
But, well, yeah, I agree. But the other thing is we have to be so careful with lighting at that upper level especially, because it does shine in the homes of the people along there. In fact, when we were placing some lights this summer, we were scolded by a couple of individuals saying they don't want those lights in their house. So we have to be really careful. We can have lighting there, but we have to make sure that they are aimed away from, but I agree, there are some real dark spots there.
Yeah.
I agree. But how do you, if you decide to close the park, let's say at 6 o'clock, how do you close it? You can't secure it,
Right,
you can't keep people out of it, so, you know,
that's true, but you can deter people, right?
well,
Like if
that's
all the
what
lights go
darkness
off,
maybe
and it's
is
very
trying to do,
dark,
I don't
right?
know.
And then, you know, if it is closed, if there's like a posted park closes at dusk, right, just for example, and then neighbors see someone in there, then they have the right to
It's
call
dark when you
police.
see 'em. Oh, yeah,
You
I
know,
agree.
so that's, I mean, the more kind of defined you are about it, I think you can encourage park closure even if you can't wall it off.
Yeah.
well, I think that's why they put up the fencing when Wilbur is closed in the wintertime.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then people get upset about that because they wanna walk through and they
Right.
don't wanna go around the snowbank to do that, and
Right.
so, you know, yeah. I mean, I have mixed feelings about it being open till 10:30
Yeah.
myself.
I mean, but that's the kind, is that within the purview of this body, or is that something that, like, a council committee would need to?
I have no idea, Katie, I would guess that it would have to be something that would go to council. But I
Yeah,
don't know.
probably recommended.
Well, it makes sense that it would be something that would align with the city or noise ordinance, which is 10.
9, I think.
No, it is
24 hour.
24 hour.
We have a 24-hour noise ordinance in the city of Oneonta, and it's based on what a reasonable person
Decibel, yeah.
It's, yeah,
Is this reasonable?
interesting. I know, same. Okay, anyway, sorry to get into the weeds there, just something to think about, I guess.
Yeah, and also 10:30 in December is a lot darker than 10:30 in
Right.
July, so I wonder if it's something we could put on, you know,
Yeah.
winter hours, closing.
5 o'clock is dark. I mean,
Yeah.
I leave my office
Right.
sometimes at 5 o'clock and it's completely dark.
But
It's
people
scary,
still-
and that's in Neola,
Yeah,
so.
That's still
But
not.
people still want to walk there, you know, the dog still needs to be walked at 7 o'clock, so, you know, I like the idea of the lights go out at 8, say. And could we even do something like smaller blue lights there, you know, maybe?
Low,
Yeah.
low.
Yeah.
gas
We
lights.
have, just so you know, we do have lighting from the pool all the way through to the high school.
Yeah,
Really?
For the-
That's good,
Of course,
because
to
that's
keep it
dark
light,
back there.
and for keep it light for the kids walking out of, you know, the school for winter events and practices and those things. And that
Yeah.
is the, you know, that's a means of emergency access and for the high school in case. So we do keep that well lit there.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem we have is the area where we start to run into homes along Center Street there.
Yeah, along the creek, the low light wouldn't be,
There are street lights there, but there aren't a
Yeah.
lot of lights inside the park, is what
yeah,
Katie's saying, and
it's
she's
like
right.
dark on
She's
the, yeah.
right.
Yeah,
We've talked about at times we do have one light that we just added near the pedestrian bridge.
I
Keep
saw
that
that.
well lit. That's
Yes.
well lit.
It is.
We just added that.
And how do the people who live at that little Spruce and Joseph, is that Joseph One there?
Yes,
How do they feel about that? No complaints, right?
have not had any complaints.
Good for them. Okay, cool.
Well, the main reason for closing the park, I think during the winter months, is we want to keep people from driving through the
That's the
park.
whole
We're
idea.
never going to, myself included, I'm not gonna not walk through the park at night with my dog, and it's the best time to go when there's fewer people around. So actually preventing people from going through the park by turning the lights off doesn't make any sense to me. I think that would only encourage other things to
Well,
happen.
but
Vandalism.
light off would be like 10 o'clock, not,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, not
Yeah.
at dusk.
No.
Oh, 10 o'clock.
But like,
No.
you know.
I think the lights are on a timer. I do
Yeah.
believe they
Do
do
you
go off.
think
I
they
can't
are?
say for sure, but I believe they are on a timer. I know
Yeah.
they're on a timer for the pavilions in Neola, so I'm guessing that it's pretty much the same thing.
Okay.
Makes sense.
But I can't say for sure.
I'll
I
ask
can-
Greg tomorrow and I'll
I can-
report back.
I can check that.
Okay, we're on a timer.
You have a lot to do. Let me ask you a question.
We did add the lifeguard chairs, seats, and platforms in Wilbur were added as an absolute before next season, have to be replaced. they are fiberglass and they're in terrible condition.
Okay.
So we do have to replace those, and we are in the process of getting some quotes for that. They are not inexpensive. They're expensive. So
Where is the funding coming for these? Do we know?
hopefully from the budget,
Okay,
hopefully. We're just saying that it's something we have to have,
yeah.
so it's not a luxury, it's something we have to have. What do we think about this document? Do we want to add to it? Do we want to talk more about it? Remove restrooms, higher up the priority list.
Yeah.
Obviously, I like the stone dust trails, and I think that that's a great thing.
So, just to bring Mark Davies back into the ether, he had been working with, so the bike trail system kind of operates separately from, in coordination with, you specifically, but kind of separate from the parks. And he had been working with a company who they fabricate trails, and they also do like seeking the grant funding for these trails. And I don't know if that's something that would be valuable for maybe him to come and talk to us about in terms of creating, a better trail system in the park. I know that that's, with stone dust trails or with whatever this consultant, the LA group, was suggesting.
Well, we can certainly do that. I think we do meet with the bike group, and they have, we already had a meeting with them, and they said a stone dust path that would connect the bike trails would help them. It will get people off of the roadways. I think it's a win for everybody. I don't think there's any harm in getting more information. We can do a basic stone dust path for not a lot of money. If we hire a consultant and do these nice trails, well, it's gonna be beautiful, when are we gonna be able to afford to do that? I just don't know.
Yeah, well, I think the piece of it that's pretty interesting. So actually, the people who run the company, one is from Oneonta, and the rest of them went to SUNY Oneonta.
From the
So
LA
it's-
group, you mean? Or
No,
you talking about-
from
this other
group.
that- Okay.
Yep, and I think what is enticing to me about it is not just that they do these beautiful trails, but that they also are committed to seeking like external funding sources
Well, then it
from
might
the
be
people.
worth
So it
talking
might
to
be
them.
worth talking to them, because if they
I
can
don't
help
I
us
don't think
find
it would be a
funding.
waste of time.
Yeah, I'll see if, I'll talk to him about it, and I'll see if maybe he can come to the December meeting and talk to us a little bit about it, or at least forward me the information so I can forward it to you.
Yeah, I'd be happy to talk with them, so.
Cool. Okay.
Is there anything in this document that we want to change, you want to add to? Have you had a chance to look at it enough?
Lou, can I just ask a little bit about the restrooms? Because I did take a look at each of these different websites. I'm just trying to picture how this will work. This will be in place of what we currently have in Wilbur Park at the large pavilion.
I think,
And then-
what I'm thinking, Carolyn, is addition.
In addition,
To what we,
so we would still have
like
our-
standalone facilities added to Wilbur.
Boy, I think that's a really good idea. Could we also do this?
We have 4 besides the pool, because the pool is closed
Right.
most of the time. I mean, it's open 6-7 weeks in the summer. So without the pool, we have 4 restrooms in Wilbur Park. And if someone's renting the large pavilion, that's basically those 2 restrooms are there.
Right.
The other 2 restrooms are by the tennis courts on the
Right.
lower level. And I will tell you, those restrooms are very small. I'm not 100% sure if I think you could get a wheelchair in, but I'm not sure about that. They're very small, very narrow.
Candy Shack?
Huh?
At the Candy Shack?
At the Candy
Large
Shack.
pavilion.
Okay.
They are very, very small,
Yeah.
older restrooms. I mean, they're painted, they look clean, but they are very
Yeah.
small.
Yeah.
small. And I like these, I like every
They all
single
look
one of
really
them.
nice, thank you.
I took a look at, I'm just wondering what the cost would be, and where we might think about placing them.
Is there any information on the cost of these?
I haven't gotten information, I mean,
Yeah, there was nothing on there, I think.
Nothing else, they wanna talk to you.
I'm sure they would be expensive.
Mm,
But they're concrete restrooms, you probably wouldn't have to replace them anytime soon.
That's what all three recommended that, and it really would fit right in with the parks also, come in different,
Yeah. They have all kinds of designs.
they do. And I was just wondering, maybe one over by the playground, just wondering where we were thinking thinking about placing these,
Yeah,
and how many.
I think we need one on the upper level, and I think we need one on the lower level.
So if these are being suggested in addition to the existing restrooms, what is the plan, is there one, for renovating the existing restrooms?
That we don't really have a plan to renovate them. I mean, we can renovate them, and we will probably have to renovate them, especially if we continue to rent the large pavilion, it's rented quite a lot. But, you know, that's another thing, another cost.
Yeah, that's another thing, for sure.
Yeah. I think it's wonderful that this group is very concerned and very about cost. But I think we have to try to do what's best for Wilbur Park and put that forward, and the cost stuff and priorities and how we do it, I think is really more Greg and council sort of a decision, you know. I love it that you're so concerned about it, I think it's wonderful. I'm sure Katie likes it too, but. Is there anything we want to add to this? Do you feel like it's ready to move on to council, to be given to council, or do you want to take another month and look at it? I'm not pushing it. I want you guys to feel comfortable with what's here.
I guess my question is, do we need to, or does council do that, set a timeline on how we will prioritize all of these items?
I think you put it forward like this, Carolyn, and let them prioritize, let you know, the city work on it, not just council, but Public Works and Greg and everyone else. And they may say, no, we don't think that should be there, it should be here, but you've given them your recommendation.
Okay.
And I think a lot of times, just to speak to what Lou was saying, Rick, so many of these things have to do with money and staff availability. So without that context, I think putting things in order or on any kind of timeline is just bound to get
Muddied up.
Oh,
messed with anyway. Yeah.
And then there's always something like the lifeguard seats and platforms and things like that that comes forward, which has to bump something else to the, but that's, you know.
Is there a emergency segment of funding set aside?
Yeah.
Just for those types of things that we know we have the regular, like, I'm sure, but like.
There's funds we can move around, yes.
Okay.
I don't know that it's something that is, you know,
Yeah.
is earmarked especially for that, but
There is a Parks Reserve,
yes, there is.
and so that's usually,
I'm talking about,
Okay.
I'm talking about a general park fund
Gotcha.
that we have to prioritize what, and things like this have to be done before other things are done.
Gotcha.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yep, okay. Got it.
Anyone else have any?
No, this looks
Oh.
like a good.
I will say too, that with regard to improvements at Wilbur Park, the city just accepted a gift to replace the gate at the end of it's like where the Wilbur Park meets the S curve, so there'll be like a nice new gate there. Yeah.
donated that? This is
March
just
music.
first I've heard that.
Yeah.
Marge Music?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Great ones. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. All right, so I guess, everybody's okay with this, right? Okay.
Is there anything else that's not on it that you can think of?
Not at the moment. I think this looks about right for
We
me.
could get that pool nice and toasty, we may
Yeah.
have more people than we
We'll
know.
increase the numbers and it just may happen.
What?
Add natural gas heating unit to the pool.
Yeah,
Concerned about numbers, that might
That's one
actually-
thing that's not gonna happen probably this year, so.
Yeah, oh darn. Okay.
I'll have to wait.
Unfortunately.
Let's wait for the heat.
Thank you, lifeguard chairs and platforms.
Much more.
Yeah, but we need the lifeguards.
Yeah, you gotta have them, you gotta have them. And they probably haven't been replaced in forever. We couldn't even find the last time they were bought.
Oh, wow.
Last time they were
Wow.
purchased, they were not in our system. That's how long ago.
Wow.
So,
Well, I guess I just have one question about basketball. Where are we with that after the,
So I'll jump in here. Yeah,
Thank
so the ARPA monies have been targeted for a refurbishment of the upper level basketball court with some amenities around shade and other types of things. So that's, the expectation is that we'll have some sort of signage at the lower court that lets people know that in fact that upper court will be prioritized and I think out of the ARPA expenditures targeted for the parks, that is actually going to be prioritized above most anything else, so we'll get that up there.
so the back up in
Yes.
the upper level?
so you wanna talk about something for that lower level spot?
As well. Because I would hope we're going to do something with it, we just don't wanna leave it
No,
empty.
I mean, isn't that like what? Was that
I said stickball.
stickball?
What'd you say?
Pickleball?
I was kind of joking, I said stickball.
Stickball.
Stickball, you take a broomstick and hit the tennis ball.
I think we should put pickleball there.
Yeah,
I do. I
yes.
think we should. Pickleball goes with tennis very well. It's a family game, it's a game for old people, young people, everybody in between. I think if, I mean, and I talked a little bit to Greg about this, if we put pickleball courts there, we can put shadow lines on the pickleball courts of hopscotch or something else. If somebody, if somebody comes up with some game that kids want there, we could put shadow lines and still have pickleball courts there. And when people aren't playing pickleball, that could be used for those things. Just like when we had tennis on all three of those courts, we had shadow, that's how we started pickleball, shadow pickleball courts. So you could play tennis there, or you could play pickleball there. We could do the same thing, pickleball and other activities. Remember how we struggled to find what we wanted to put on there before, to make it a family play space? We came up with hopscotch, what was some of the other things?
Foursquare.
I'm sorry?
Foursquare.
But I will tell you, I'm dead set against Foursquare being on that kind of a surface. It's a recipe for kids to get hurt.
Okay.
If you're gonna have Foursquare somewhere, you need to have a rubberized, softer surface, so when they fall, it's not if they fall, they will fall.
It will fall.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
that is not a surface that's forgiving.
Gotcha, okay.
Tell that to my fourth grade elementary school.
So I'm gonna be visiting on the other side of this cold snap, which maybe is winter, maybe it's not. But on the other side of this cold snap, I'm gonna be visiting with the 3 elementary schools and having the kids actually show me, we'll do some video of it, their favorite play areas that are basically lined, on the pavement. So that we'll hear from them and that, and
Excellent,
obviously
I like
provide
that.
that to you.
That's fantastic, cool. Okay, so, all right,
So you want-
we'll wait for feedback on what to do with, court number 8, right? Is that what it's called? Yeah, and then,
Well, it could be, actually be 7 and 8. You could put 4 pickleball courts there. We have or we could keep that court 7 tennis.
Yeah.
When we have teams competing there,
There-
Hardwick and Oneonta High School, they only need 6 courts to compete. The 7th court, but I will tell you, it's nice to have a 7th court that other people can play on, but if they're having a match, they're not gonna want you playing a fun game there beside of them where they're having a match.
Yeah, and I don't think I would wanna play a fun game next to like people who are really into it.
Especially not our Hardwick tennis
Yeah.
team,
Well,
they're doing really well this year.
remember that those organizations are renting those facilities, reserve use of those facilities, just like softball fields and baseball fields and all those other, you wouldn't wanna go play baseball with Cooperstown Baseball World when they're on field 6.
Right.
They're not gonna wanna play with you. So it's the same sort of idea. If if you're a reserve user, you have you're paying for that right to have that space. So,
Okay. Has anybody seen the Real Sports with Brian Gumbel on the pickleball?
yes.
Okay. You've seen it, then it's very loud, so that's why I'm sort of loath to add another pickleball to that area.
In the emails they sent they didn't mind pickleball, so I think pickleball is the best option.
Yeah, it is, but like, not more than one, that's what I'm saying.
We can't have dead silence on that court. We can't have nothing on that court. That's what we had
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
We had nothing there for a long time.
right,
Just moss growing on the court.
right.
I'm opposed to having nothing.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant, but I was just saying, I'm just saying, only one pickleball court, not more than one, because of the noise, and it's right next to residential. But it's only
We've
one
already
person.
been told by the
Yeah.
Union Street neighbors that tennis and pickleball are fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
That-
that's
Those
right.
are
Right.
their words.
Okay.
As long as we have tennis or pickleball, that's fine.
Okay, okay. No, but I'm just like, well, if they move and then new people move in and
Well,
then,
it's
It's
a
not-
park.
yeah,
There's gonna
I
be
know,
noise.
no, but I'm not opposed to putting pickleball there. I'm just opposed to possibly more than.
I'm
That's all.
opposed to not having something popular.
Yeah,
Pickleball is very popular.
Yeah.
You want people in the park.
if you drive by the
nice
one
parks
at
are
Ewell,
quiet.
it's
It's,
full.
it's full all the time.
Oh,
Okay,
it's
all right.
So, yeah, I mean, I
Okay,
drove by
that's just-
2 days ago and there was, every single pickleball court was being used.
Yeah,
in there.
there's overflow. People are waiting to use pickleball courts.
Okay.
Yeah, let's get
So
it.
if
That's
it's,
how popular it
Alright.
is.
if it's not with basketball, put pickleball.
Oh, that's fine, yeah, okay, yeah.
As long as we have basketball in Wilbur Park,
I
it goes
agree.
back up to where it was.
I agree. We're gonna have basketball.
Can we talk about bocce?
Yes, we can talk about
The
that.
woman who emailed and mentioned shuffleboard, which is a fantastic sport, kudos, made me think about bocce, which I love in terms of like classic sports.
Yeah. I've looked at bocce. We think that we could possibly put some bocce courts for not a lot of money. Although bocce courts are, I will tell you, the biggest problem with bocce courts is the maintenance of them.
Yeah, it's,
You have to continuously keep them smooth surface and those kinds of things, depending on what surface you put in, crushed sand and, actually, I can't remember what the term is, it's like a crushed shell that they put underneath it. And so there is a lot of maintenance. That's the only thing that bothers me about bocce.
I mean, is it the kind of thing where like users could rig
Yeah.
it out before they
Certainly,
play?
certainly.
Yeah, I'd be reluctant with,
I think
any
we-
kind of sand, because it's putting a cat box and.
Greg and I,
Yeah, right.
Greg and I talked about putting a bocce court near the Longhouse Pavilion in Newa. It's got the long space there, it would be a good spot for it. Bocce kind of appeals to pickleball group, a lot of the people that play pickleball that, and maybe I'm generalizing too much, but yeah, I think bocce, especially in an old railroad town, yeah, I think it has some historic value. It's fun. I've played it. It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, and I was
Well,
just
well,
thinking about in terms of like kind of easier things to put down, but I hadn't thought about the maintenance, so
Yeah.
that's a good
Shuffleboard
perspective.
is actually not a bad idea too. I just don't know. I don't know how popular shuffleboard is.
I mean, it just takes, like, you have to have shuffleboard equipment,
Right.
so it's not like something you can bring like a ball and play, you have to have whatever the sticks are called.
You have to have the shuffleboard thing and you have to have
Pieces.
the,
So like,
Pop guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know many people who have all the shuffleboard equipment.
Yeah.
It's
So,
I
exactly.
don't
right,
know anybody.
yeah, so.
Do they sell it? If they don't sell it at Dick's Sporting Goods.
Yeah.
Right, are you
Take her to
secretly a
Dick's and pick up the
collector of
shuffleboard
antique
stuff.
shuffleboard equipment?
Yeah, so-
Okay.
So you wanna
Thank
wait,
you.
till December on this?
I'm
good.
I'm ready to
I'm
go
good.
now.
I'm ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
Okay. All in favor, what?
Do we need a motion?
Motion?
Yes.
Yes, that's right. Okay, motion to submit this to.
Recommend it.
Recommend it to council.
I'll second that.
Yes, second,
I'll second the motion.
all right, oh, I move to submit this to, council.
You recommend it on the
Yeah,
council.
recommended,
Yeah, probably go to a committee first,
okay,
but yeah.
and Trevor second.
I'll second.
All right.
Vote.
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposition? All set? Perfect.
Good job, guys.
And, just to reiterate, Heather will be here, Girls on Target in December to talk to all of you.
Just,
Heather Morse.
as I'm looking at this projected 2023 large park events, I'm noticing the Festival of Lights isn't on here.
Festival of Lights doesn't happen during this time period.
Oh, okay.
This is June through November.
Okay. Just want to make sure I
Ah.
don't forget it.
Festival of Lights, it's alive and well. They're going well.
I just want to make sure they weren't, this wasn't there last year. Okay.
Yeah, they're so excited.
I will tell you, the Daily Star Flea Market will not be returning to New York. And
When
that's
was that?
Huh?
When was that?
It wasn't this year.
Oh,
They
okay.
they haven't had it since COVID, and she didn't have it this year for staffing reasons. I asked her about, because I invited her to this meeting, and she said they're not bringing it back. She didn't give me a reason.
Gotcha.
I'm guessing it's staffing related since it got canceled because of staff.
Yeah.
Anyone else have anything to, no?
Thank you.
Thank you, Lou, very much. Thank you. Okay, move to adjourn